There we go. Jesus, man. What the heck has happened? It's over. Comments are on. Save. It's stupid, man. Yeah, there it goes. There we go. It's coming back now. Sorry, friends. Video capture device. Whoops. Pocket 3. No. Bug off. Filters. Chroma key. Custom color. And then chroma key. Custom color. Okay. There we go. There it is. We're going to remove that. And we're going to bounce that up so it's big. And then we're going to take whatever it was over here. I'll go here. We'll log into
overview that I get. The good news, though, is that people do now have some hope. They think that things can be turned around, and they have clearly and correctly diagnosed the problem, which is entirely political. There is no physical, geographic reason why Canada should struggle to supply people with great opportunities of home ownership and family formation. In fact, we should be the richest country in the world. And people increasingly know that, and they know that if we make the right, albeit difficult, political decisions, that they will once again be able to do as their parents did, which is to say, get a house, start a family, live in a safe neighborhood, raise their kids with good traditional values. That's another thing I'm finding, is that a lot of people are really getting back to those values that we were told were unfashionable. They want, young people today, they want to have families.
Well, there's been a real conservative swing, especially among young men. Well, no wonder, because they've been demonized for 30 straight years for every aspect of their masculinity, from their play preferences to their proclivity to destroy the planet with their ambition. And so there's definitely an opportunity there, and clearly your political party and you are capitalizing on that you have the support from young people increasingly right across Canada.
We are winning among youth. In fact, the youth were the first to come on board with me. My rallies were overwhelmingly populated with youth, which is not normal for conservatives.
Right.
And the reason is because in your youth, of course, you as you write it, young people want to have the adventure of their lives. They want to go into the wilderness and earn a living and bring it home and raise kids and have a purpose that's bigger than just short-termism. And I think, 20 years ago, the socialists would go to university campuses and say, vote for us and we'll let you be a kid forever. We'll give you free stuff, and you'll never have to get a job. And that was very temporarily popular across the Western world. But then young people woke up and found out this was not a utopia, it was a total dystopia, and that all the things that they really valued and wanted for their lives were impossible when they were being borne down upon by this massive state. They've learned that help is the sunny side of control. And so now young people are, and I love this. This is great news. Our young people are saying, I want to start a business. I want to invent something. I want to create things. I want to become a tradesman. And then when I get good enough at that, I want to hire 5 other tradesmen. And by the time I retire, I want to have 300 employees. And then I want to give that company to my kids. These are the stories that I hear when I go out and about in Canada. And the great news is we can have all those things. That's the optimistic message that I have for people. But we've got a limitless supply of resources here. We're like a cornucopia. The third biggest supply of oil, 5th biggest supply of natural gas, biggest supply of uranium, 5th biggest supply of lithium. We've got not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 coasts to tidewater.
Right.
We live next to the biggest military and economic superpower the world has ever seen. We have a highly educated population and the best system of government in the history of the world, the parliamentary system. Not the best government, but the best system of government. So all these massive advantages, we just need to unleash that potential.
Right, so the unhappiness that you're seeing among young people seems to me to be a consequence of the mismatch between the opportunity they see right in front of them and their frustration at the fact that opportunity can't be capitalized on, even if they're contributing their fair share.
And they're definitely doing their part. Like they really are. It's always been a habit of older people to say, the youth these days. When I look at the young people today, all they do is work. I am astonished when I meet young university students how much they work outside of their studies just to scrape by. How many hours of labor they do as waitresses or in another service job so that they can pay their bills. Way more than when I was a student, 25 years ago.
When I was a kid in Alberta, I could work in the summer, and I didn't work on the rig, so I didn't have one of the high-paying jobs. I had a more what would you say, a job that was secondarily associated with the resource economy. I could make enough money in the summer in 2 months, 4 months to pay for the tuition and my entire year's rent.
Of course.
Right.
And now these kids are working 20, 30 hours a week in addition to a full course load. And they look exhausted. When I meet young people today, they are exhausted. They have bags under their eyes, and all they do is work. And the worst part about it is not that they're working all the time, it's that they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Are you tired of feeling sluggish, run down, or just not your best self? Take control of your...
Measured in US dollars.
This is per capita?
Per worker.
Or per year?
Per worker. Per member of the labor force.
Okay.
So you take the total business investment of the United States divided by the total number of workers in America, it's 28 grand. In Canada, it's 15 grand. So the Canadian worker gets about 55 cents for every dollar of his American, and they're both measured in USD. So how is the Canadian worker?
That's investment in future productivity?
That's investment in machines.
And finally, from Canada, Justin Trudeau wants the face of money.
What the fuck did happen?
And technology, warehouses, factories.
I see.
Any capital investment that businesses make divided by the number of workers, that's the measurement. So now that means they're getting better technology, better new machines, better tools than our workers, and they will be able to crank out even greater wages for their people than we will, unless we catch up with that. Our productivity is another major problem. Right now, and that's productivity sounds complicated. It's actually extremely simple. You just take the GDP and you divide it by the hours worked in the country. So,
watch this, friends. Watch this. Let's check this out. So this gentleman was in town a couple of days ago, and we were hanging out.
We are here in Canada. This place is turning into something interesting here in Canada. I'm not sure what we're going to expect to see here today. Donald Trump's calling for Canada to become the 51st state. Justin Trudeau, the governor.
It was really cool. So where is he? Here we are here. And he's just stuck in it.
We went to a nice place, and then all of a sudden I was just walking, and I went to like this church to see where the migrants are at, and then it was, I didn't know it at the time, but it turned out to be one of the most dangerous places you could be. How you doing? Oh no, we got somebody folded up over here. Touching his toes completely. Wow. Holy cow. Huh? You gotta be crazy.
I've been watching you for a couple of years, bro. Just so you know, I think you're awesome. I think that's your mom.
Yeah, it's Brooker T. Jones. Look, I mean, this is crazy.
So I do this stuff, but I just do it in my province of British Columbia, and this is my home, and I've been here since, I don't know, like 88. And I've watched so much happen throughout the days here. First, it was the crack pandemic, right?
Show the camera.
It was the crack pandemic. That's just basically he's doing too much fentanyl, and he's just stuck, and it sits. The drug sits in their sacs between their vertebrae, and it hardens. And then to get them out of that, like they actually, I've talked to people about how it takes time to like get someone back stretched normal. It's just like when you bust your bicep off and you've got one of those machines and it's like stuck there, and it's stuck slow like this, and then over months they slowly straighten your arm out and then they flexion, right? This is now, he's never going to come back from this.
Yeah, and he's like literally snoring right now, like he's asleep.
I can talk to him. Want to watch him? I'll talk to him. He'll tell me his name.
Okay. Yeah, I heard like a grunt, like a snore.
Yeah, it's probably just gob or something.
Alrighty.
You good, bro? Hey, can you get up for me? Are you good? Don't worry, no one's gonna take your shit, bro.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're just sort of right in the middle of shit.
Oh,
You got your bottle of your bottle of propane.
Wow. How old are you? 37?
If you go down that way, like one more block, it'll be very dangerous for your mother to be there.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to. I think.
Yeah, you can probably, if you want to go across and just go down to the Army and Navy there, that's where the shelter is. They've taken down one of our big, oldest superstores for clothes. Like it's an old Army store, and they've turned it into a shelter. So they have what's like 60 beds are for men, 40 beds are for women, and 20 beds are for co-ed. But it's just, they're allowed to smoke their shit in there. They're not allowed to, but they do. And the poor
Do
workers.
you still have safe injection sites here?
Oh yeah, it's 2 blocks down. I can show you that too. I was down there two Fridays ago.
no.
What's that?
No, no.
Huh?
Not right now.
You don't want any? Oh no, he doesn't want to be cameraed right now. He doesn't want to be cameraed right now. Yeah, they got the safe injection. It's where it all started here in Vancouver, right? It started here. This is where. Be very careful how I talk, because this is where it all started. Down at the inside. It's called Inside. It used to be a really nice, clean street.
And has East Hastings Street always been like this, or has it just been this over the past
You know Van Halen
10
is?
years?
Van Halen, David Lee Roth.
The
The
singers?
singer, yeah, he got busted here in like the early '80s for. All right, folks, enough about me. So we're gonna head back over here. I'm going to go over to X and see what's going on. I got to turn this down because this is Chrome, so I can't really use Chrome on my. Can't use X. So let's listen to what CTV says. Probably all say the same stuff. Same stuff, different day.
Statement earlier on today on the resignation focused largely on of Justin Trudeau.
Oh wow, why is it not on? Oh, let's watch this.
I want to see you again.
We gotta get through this ad. La 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 la. Sorry, friend.
None of this is your fault. If one day you had a daughter and she said the person she loved was hurting her, what would you say to her?
So let's bring in CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapelos, right now to talk about those regrets. And Vashi, he talked about his pledge made back in 2015, the one about proportional representation. And at that point, when he came in, he said that it would be the last election that they would have first past the post. It was a pledge that he abandoned soon after he came into power in 2015. But he didn't talk about any other regrets. He talked about having one. Then he said, oh, actually, I might have a few upon reflection over the next 2 days. But aside from that, he didn't mention anything else.
Yeah, his only regret is breaking a promise that he made in the 2015 campaign. It's actually kind of astounding, and I think it tracks with a lot of the way in which we've heard the Prime Minister communicate, particularly over the past few years. There was not a huge amount of humility in his comments today, and I think what really stood out to me was what was telegraphed in advance of his comments by the people around him, which is he did not do this because he doesn't think he can win, or because he doesn't think that he's the right person to do it. He's doing it because he doesn't have the support of caucus. The way in which he communicated that was, if I have to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option. That really stood out to me, that essentially he said today, I'm not making this decision because I don't think I'll win the next election, or I've done a bunch of things that have, really hurt the Liberal Party and its brand over the past number of months. He said he's going to have to fight internal battles, as he has been over the last number of months, and that leaves him in a position where he cannot be the best option. The other thing that really stood out to me in these comments, Omar, was around what's going to happen next. Not only did he say, I'm resigning once the new leader is chosen, But he also talked about a robust, public, open process that he says will take place to choose his replacement. He said, as you pointed out, that he talked to the president of the party about that. Here's where this becomes complicated, and there was a great question to the Prime Minister about that. What does that mean as far as a timeline goes? If you're going to have this big open race, does that leave...
So if you're here and listening, I think you're back. What I learned last night was he's basically he's going to sit today with his caucus. He's going to step down. He either goes into prorogation, which means basically they shut the government down. He's going to shut the government down. They're going to find a new leader, which will unfortunately be, they were talking last night, Christy Clark, Carney, or Freeland, which makes no sense, which just, anyways, so they go into a vote, they pick a new leader, then the government turns back on March 24th, so everything's going to be shut down for 2 months. Then on March 24th, then we can come back and say, okay, we want to have the Conservatives in, or NDP or whatever. We'll fight until October. So what I think is going to happen is this is just going to sit, and we're just going to have to sit through more garbage. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Next leader with 2 days before the next election, and what position does that leave the next leader in? And then he was also asked, okay, well, if all your cabinet ministers end up running for you, will they no longer be in cabinet? Which certainly imparts, something on.
11 have quit. 11 have stepped down.
The message that this is all about stability sticking around, and he didn't really specifically answer whether or not that will be the case. So I derive two things from this. One, he's leaving because caucus doesn't support him, not because he came to some decision based on his own ability to win in the next election. And two, he has decided and sort of, I guess, worked through an agreement to have a big open process to replace him. And that might leave the next leader in a pretty interesting situation if the election is as soon as even the Prime Minister in his comments seemed to admit it could be in the spring.
That's an interesting point you raise. I mean, he talked about, he said a robust nationwide
since you want
process.
Let's leave this and let's move over to True North, and let's watch this piece here. This is it looks funny. I always like all the stuff that Gronk does on this guy is basically, we got to watch this. This is really interesting. This is Brett Wilson, the guy from the Dragon's Den. He's gonna pay for Jagmeet to bounce.
Jagmeet Singh is out of reasons to continue propping up the Liberal government. Calgary businessman Brett Wilson has agreed to arrange private funding for the NDP leader's pension if he agrees to bring down the government, triggering the election that Canadians want. 2025 looks to be a very promising year indeed. I'm Rachel Parker. Welcome back to The Rachel Parker Show. A year annually, beginning at the age of 65. How much are you actually willing to fund for him to help pay for his pension if he agrees to trigger an early election?
Well, let's go back to big picture. One of the greatest investments I could ever make in this country is making sure that we move to an election quickly. And the only impediment to an election quickly is Jagmeet Singh.
Be eligible to claim $66,000 a year annually, beginning at the age of 65. How much are you actually willing to fund for him to help pay for his pension if he agrees to trigger an early election?
Well, let's go back to big picture. One of the greatest investments I could ever make in this country is making sure that we move to an election quickly. And the only impediment to an election quickly is Jagmeet Singh. He says he doesn't trust Trudeau, but he refuses to act on his own word.
The only thing, exactly what he just said, the only thing I don't like about Jag is he continues to say whatever he thinks everybody wants him to hear. It's like back when I was a gigolo, I'd tell the girls what I think they'd want me to tell them so that they will like me better. Like I'll tell people whatever they wanted to hear. And I think Jag's very similar. Yes, he's a smart guy, but I just don't, I can't see him in power. God bless.
So I started out with a bit of a smart-ass comment on Twitter saying that I would fund his accelerated pension plan, and whatever that is. I've seen numbers, 2+ million. And let me tell you, as much as I could afford to do that myself for the right reasons, again, investing in Canada, I've had a dozen different people reach out and say, can I participate in your program? And one of my friends said, I might even make money giving a pension to Jagmeet. There's that many people interested in seeing him gone. Now, whether this is legal, don't know. Is it ethical? I think so. I don't know how the government works, nor do I care. The real point is to drive home, Jagmeet, you're done.
So you said that you've had people reaching out to you who are willing to help fund this, and they say they'd actually come out ahead now. Are they actually saying they'll come out ahead because some of the restrictions from the Trudeau government would be rolled back under a Conservative government? How would they come out ahead under this?
No, it would be I that would come out ahead in the context of if I needed to raise.
So I'm going to turn on, I'm going to turn this guy on here because I definitely want to hear what he has to say. So let's just bounce him over. Choo-choo-choo-choo-choo. Give me 1 second, Mr. Magoo. Pierre Poilievre, let's see what he has to say. He did a little thing this morning.
And every potential Liberal leadership contender fighting for the top job helped Justin Trudeau break the country over the last 9 years. All Liberal politicians actively worked to pass into law the job-killing inflationary carbon tax, a tax that Carbon Tax Carney endorsed in his book. All supported a law quadrupling the tax over the next 5 years. All voted for or actively supported Trudeau's out-of-control spending, debt, and immigration. All passed Trudeau's housing policies that doubled the cost of homes. All Liberal politicians helped pass catch-and-release bail and house arrest for the most rampant reoffenders. Policies that increased violent crime 50%, gun crime 116%, and hate crime by 250%. So given that Liberal MPs and leadership contenders unanimously supported everything Trudeau has done, why dump him now, right before an election? Have they had a change of heart? Is it because they feel guilty that they doubled housing costs, hiked taxes, unleashed crime, broke immigration, forced a quarter of the population into poverty? No. They continued supporting Trudeau when he did all of those things. No, their only objection is that he is no longer popular enough to win an election and keep them in power. They want to protect their pensions and paycheck by sweeping their hated leader under the rug months before an election to trick you and then do it all over again.
He's never had a shot at Parliament.
While leaderless Liberals focus on saving their jobs and fighting each other for power.
I honestly, I mean, the reality is he's going to be the next prime minister. I think everyone just has to eat that. As much as, you know, I don't like him for these things, I like him for these things. As much as I don't like Trudeau for those things, I like him for those things. Unfortunately, I think this guy's going to be the one in power. So we're going to have to try to like him. And when he gets into power, we're going to have to call him out on everything, because he is probably going to be he's going to have a lot of seats. It's really scary.
The country spirals out of control, an out-of-control housing emergency, an out-of-control migrant crisis, an out-of-control $62 billion deficit, not to mention tariff threats from the United States. Oh, and another NDP Liberal carbon tax hike kicks in this April 1st. Everything's out of control. And now the government is out of control. This cannot go on. We need a carbon tax election now to choose between the NDP Liberal costly coalition that taxes your food, punishes your work, doubles your housing costs, and unleashes crime and drugs in your community, or common sense conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Canadians can take back control of their lives and their country. Take back control of our border. Take back control of immigration. Take back control of spending, deficits, and inflation. Take back control of our streets by locking up criminals, banning drugs, treating addiction, and stopping gun smugglers. We'll cap spending, axe taxes, reward work, build homes, uphold family, stop crime, secure borders, rearm our forces, restore our freedom,
he says,
and
"Dear
put
Justin
Canada
Trudeau."
first. All with one mission: to bring
look
home
like a boy
Canada's
band.
promise
Like
that every hardworking Canadian gets
in
a
sync
powerful
rejects.
paycheck and pension that
They didn't
buys
make the band.
affordable food and
Dear
homes
Justin Trudeau, when I
on
first
safe
met you in
streets.
2008,
We're
I didn't
all
know what was in
united
store.
for the
I'm
country
incredibly
we know
grateful for your
and
leadership.
love.
You led Canada during one
Canada
of the most
first,
consequential
Canada
periods in
last,
our history.
Canada always.
You led with compassion
Let's bring it
and
home.
grit. Thank you for your service to Canada. They didn't make the band. Look at them. NSYNC went on tour and left these two behind. Sad. They couldn't get their dance steps right. Justin Trudeau, what a loser. Can't even resign properly. Can't even resign properly. Despicable. Just screwing us right to the bitter end. Right to the bitter end. They're just
scampered out.
Just when you think there's hope for something different, Justin Trudeau does the most Justin Trudeau thing that Justin Trudeau has ever done. And that's what he did today. Bill CF7 gives us $5 and says, there will be no difference between the US election and the future election here in Canada. Replacing the leader of the Liberals will make no difference. Yeah, I don't know how they get around the fact that they are the system. You know, if there's systemic problems over the last 9 years, that's you guys. You guys are the systems, Liberals. Like when you, like, I don't know how Freeland gets around the fact that she burned down the economy. I don't know how Mark Miller would get around the fact that he is the guy who oversaw immigration. I don't know how all these other guys come out. I don't know how Christy Clark, who is the former Liberal leader
Take Duco
in British Columbia, I don't know how she gets around the fact that she stood in the way of Alberta pipelines. Like, there's just, she never said anything critical of Justin Trudeau over the last 9 years. So how do you differentiate yourself from it? It's the Kamala Harris problem, right? And they deserve it. Again, couldn't happen to a nicer bunch. Olivia, are we done? I could talk about Justin Trudeau forever, but I feel like we all have other things we need to be doing. Okay, great. She says we're good. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think of the new studio? I'm still working out the kinks. I'm working out the lighting. I might tweak my little knickknacks on the wall. I don't know. Did I? Nope. Yes. I don't know if you can see my Ezra Levant bobblehead, but that's he'll be there forever. Well, everybody, that's the show for today. I guess we're back again doing this on Friday. Hopefully I'll have my co-pilot David Menzies with me. Thanks to Olivia for putting the show together, and Efron for gathering up all those clips, and Ezra sitting in with me in the very beginning. Thanks to everybody who made a donation. I would very much appreciate it if you would share a link of the show with your friends to help us get.
Hey, what are you talking about here, an economic union?
No, they don't want to give up their sovereignty, but they really find an economic union more attractive by the minute as the world changes, obviously. Strength through economy, through economic strength is very, very powerful. And so low-hanging fruit would be a common currency. That means you'd be merging some of the functionality of the Bank of Canada with the Fed. Maybe you give a couple of seats on the Fed to Canadian bankers. But, you know, there's a way to work that out, because all of the trade, goods and services, particularly commodities like energy, are denominated in USD around the world anyways. And so we would be signaling to the world that we are a very powerful combination of economies and basically don't mess with us, particularly the Chinese.
Now, you've said you would negotiate. Have you spoken to President Trump about this? And it's interesting about
not yet,
but the currencies.
Well, I mean, this is an idea. The thing about Trump, he throws out very bombastic messages, and sometimes through the cracks come very good ideas from it. And this is the one that people are starting to focus on, combining economics together. There's something else that I'm going to appeal to Trump on, or at least ask him to consider. You know, these ministers he's meeting with from Canada and Justin Trudeau, they're about to be wiped off the face of the map in an election. You saw the red wave occur in the U.S. that put Trump in a candidate. That's about to happen in Canada with even more momentum. He's very unpopular. Canadian people don't want him representing them. And so I would ask President-elect Trump, why don't you wait on all of these ideas until the Canadians have had a chance to elect their new leadership, so that you're dealing with somebody, a leader, that has the same mandate you do, 4 years, because you can't get this stuff done overnight. And the minute election is called in Canada, there's a chance, the polls are brutal. This is a parliamentary system in Canada. This Liberal Party is going to get wiped off the face. They won't even be the official opposition. So why waste your time talking to them?
Yeah, so I'm interested, you go back to the Prime Minister's use of the Emergency Act that allowed the government to freeze personal and business bank accounts over this trucker strike that happened in 2022, as they're upset about the COVID lockdowns, which we know now basically didn't work. And, a Canadian judge this week ruled that the use of that act was unreasonable and infringed on constitutional rights. Is that where Trudeau lost public opinion, do you think?
No. The metrics of the country that affect every individual Canadian regarding their politics are things like GDP per capita, debt per capita, foreign outflows of capital per capita, the Canadian dollar versus other international currencies. During the Trudeau mandate, he has lost 41% of the value of the country. People are tired of him by every measure. That was just one drop in the bucket. To say, it's gone beyond pissed off. They just want an election, and they will wipe him right off the face of the political landscape in Canada. So I appeal again to President-elect Trump, don't waste your time.
Yeah, so Kevin, I appreciate it. Kevin O'Leary, thank you for the insight on all of this, man. It seems like that what's happened here, that wave in the United States, trickling up north a little bit. People are upset about their position where they are looking at their economy, looking at their bank account. So appreciate it, Kevin.
Yeah, this is only one of us watching, right? No, just don't do that. Oh, man. Oh, here we go.
Parliament not going to work, and Canadians actually need them to be going to work, need us to go. Well, typical Liberals.
Okay, so here is our man Jagmeet. He could have went with red on his head. Red on his head today. Look at the red down below, yo. But he didn't. God bless him. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Well, typical Liberals. They are shutting down Parliament, not going to work, and Canadians actually need them to be going to work, need us to going to work. So it's completely wrong what they're doing. Obviously, it's wrong that the Liberals are choosing to shut down Parliament, not going to work. If someone didn't show up to work, they would get fired. And that's what should happen. We should fire the Liberals. They've let down Canadians. They need to get fired. And New Democrats are going to give a real option to Canadians who are worried about the cuts of Pierre Poilievre. We have shown you that we can fight for you. We can fight and we can deliver. We fought the Liberals every step of the way to secure dental care for seniors. It was a battle. It was a fight, but we did not relent. We did not give up. We continue to fight, and we secured that for you.
Yeah, and just to follow up, we know that the first confidence motion before Parliament is going to be the throne speech. Will the NDP vote to bring down the government at the throne speech?
Yeah, this is just what I don't get. Like, this is what he said, but he could have done this months ago.
Yes, whatever the vote is, there will be a vote of confidence. New Democrats will be voting against this government for an election where Canadians will have a choice. The Liberals have let you down. They've let you down again and again. It doesn't matter who the leader is, the Liberals have let you down. They do not deserve another chance.
Yeah, well, we can see what I don't. It's really sad. Let's go to some American stuff. Trump, so Benny Johnson's got some stuff to say. Let's see what he's.
United States is 530 delivered.
So, Benny Johnson. Let's go to the U.S. I like Benny Johnson. The guy's a crackerjack. They're all crackerjacks. What doesn't matter what side they're on. They're all crackerjacks. I guess that makes me a crackerjack too now.
To the President of the Senate is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio has received 312 votes. Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota has received 226 votes. This announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected, President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much.
Wow, check this out. This is what I don't get. I kind of want to just do this for a couple minutes. No one's even watching, so. Breaking news. Congress explodes in cheers, applause following Kamala Harris announced as Trump's victory. Yeah, so she announced it today. Piers Morgan. Want to listen to what Pierre says? Nah. Okay, here, this is something that's interesting. This is just a picture. They're doing it. So yeah, so this is Oh my Lord, can you believe this? So this is who they're trying to put in here. So most appealing Liberal leadership candidate, Christina Freeland, 14, Mark Carney, 14, Justin Trudeau, 11, Melanie Joly, 4, Christy Clark. Why is she on here? None of the above, 22%. Oh, God bless. That is funny. God bless. None of the above. None of the above.
Shrink inflation, and there is a widespread Western revolt against beta male open border liberalism. There is a widespread revolt in the West to close our borders, kick out the invaders, shrink inflation, and to restore national sovereignty. An alpha male renaissance. Breaking news today, Justin Trudeau is resigning as Prime Minister of Canada. Joining us now is Ezra Levant, a Canadian journalist and rebelnews.com. Ezra, I kind of want to say congratulations, because you guys have been investigating and criticizing this maniac and this lunatic for quite some time.
Are you back,
I have a couple different questions I want to talk about as regards to how this all works. But first, walk us through this breaking news, Ezra.
Sure. Trudeau has announced that he's resigning, but not till March 24th. Now, he's resigning just days before he was having a caucus meeting where his own Liberal MPs were going to demand that he resign. So he's preempting them. But he's doing a sneaky move, Charlie. In a parliamentary system like Canada has, in Parliament, that's our version of Congress, the ordinary MPs, members of Parliament, can vote no confidence and bring the government down and force an election. So Trudeau has asked the Governor General, that's the King's representative in Canada, to dissolve Parliament. It's called proroguing. So not only did Trudeau not really resign today, he's kicked the can down the road almost 3 months, but he's dissolved Parliament so no House of Commons business can happen, no bills can be passed, no question period where people scrutinize the government, but mainly, Charlie, he's not letting MPs have a vote of no confidence. So in a way, he's suspended democracy just to give himself 3 more months of power and perks. So I guess 1 cheer, not 2 cheers, for 3 cheers for what happened today.
So just walk through the process of why this took so long. And do you believe one of the reasons?
Well, it took so long because Justin Trudeau, you see, he made a whole bunch of backroom deals when no one knew, and he set everything up so that the only person that could take him out of power was himself. A lot of these rules about proroguing, I mean, the last time that someone prorogued government was about 8 years ago or 18 years ago. And I watched an amazing documentary on Prime Minister Jean Chrétien last night. It was pretty cool. But yeah, let's listen to what this guy has to say.
He is stepping down is this Western trend that is rejecting leaders like Trudeau, Harris, Biden, and that are going towards leaders like Mulroney, Millet, that are going towards leaders like Bukele, like Trump, and maybe even Poilievre. Do you think that is playing into Trudeau's calculus here?
Let it be clear, it's not how many of those things you got, but it's about how many BULTSS, those little things you have. It's not about how many of those things you got, but it's about how many things go in them you got.
Well, that's part of it. The Conservative leader in Canada is pretty good. His name's Pierre Poilievre. He's pretty right-wing. I mean, right-wing in Canada isn't quite right-wing in the U.S., but Poilievre is excellent on economics and fiscal and monetary policy. He's gotten a lot firmer on immigration. Not Donald Trump firm, but better than any leader we've had in decades. He's talked about replacing the woke culture in our military with a warrior culture. And most importantly, in my mind, Charlie, Pierre Poilievre has a Trump-like approach to partisan media. He calls out reporters in real time. He has promised to defund our state broadcaster called the CBC. So I'm quite encouraged about Pierre Poilievre. I think the fact that he's strong and, you could say the phrase alpha male, that's sort of part of it. But I think Trudeau has had so many scandals and so much corruption, and he's been so badly behaved over the last months that his time was coming up. I mean, Trudeau has been polling so low. Last poll I saw put him at 16%. And his party MPs are worried they're going to be wiped out. So they were going to vote to kick him out on Wednesday, Charlie. This is Trudeau just buying himself 3 more months and leaving on his own terms. He was going to be fired on Wednesday.
Well, I don't think he was going to be fired on Wednesday because you can't fire the prime minister. But they were going to have a conversation with him, and he was probably more than likely going to leave with his tail, his female tail between his legs, and he'll be running down the road like this. Dude, God bless the guy. Just needs to go. He just needed to go. I'm not sure if you're there anymore, but, everything is just repeat all morning. He's really screwed a lot of things up. I'm just going to watch this last thing. I mean, he's really done a lot of
people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are...
this is unfortunately the legacy that he left for himself.
If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
So scary now what they know about everything.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
They just weren't expressing his views. But a lot of people didn't want the vaccinations and they wanted to see what would happen. And if this guy was willing to just continue to give out, this was his idea about this $2,000 a month thing. It was his idea to give this money out. Freeland supposedly, from what I've heard, was against it.
Do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for concerns expressed by a few people gathered in Ottawa right now are not new, not surprising, are heard, but are a continuation of what we've unfortunately seen in disinformation and misinformation online, conspiracy theorists about microchips, about God knows what else that go.
They thought microchips were going in, but the reality is there are those mosquitoes out there that are like millimeters small that are carrying around viruses. They've captured them down in Florida and Texas. It's something's going on. We don't know, but the drone wars are coming.
The tinfoil hats.
Conservative Party members can stand with people who wave swastikas. They can stand with people who wave.
I was, what do you call him? What was my title? Vice President for Media Relations. Vice President of Media Relations for the biggest public operated company in Canada, and our stock went from like 3 cents to 83 cents in like 3 days. I made a little bit of money there. And I traveled around North America and Central America and a little bit of South America. He spoke at Hempfest, was smoking big blunts like this with elderly ladies at Hempfest. Yeah, he did do that, but unfortunately all the mom and pops and a lot of people I know lost their way of life as a result, and the companies have taken it over, and how is that done for a lot of people?
I will also be very clear when people are trying to push politics of fear and indeed intolerance. That's something that Canadians expect of me. That's something that I will always do. I have attended protests and rallies in the past.
He's protesting right now by doing what he did this morning, by stepping aside and proroguing government just so that he can't get kicked out in 2 days. And you're right. Yeah, no public service should be allowed to stop or strike. Absolutely. But you know, these people that are striking that are for male, they're striking because they're fighting to have transgender surgeries as an adult. That's just one of the things. There's many things, but the reality is the cost of living has gone up so much that new people are coming into work. They're doing the same job as someone else that gets paid twice as much. They're not getting the same deal as the person that's been around for 15 years. And, you know, maybe if they're an immigrant or someone that's new, you got to climb the ladder. I understand it, but it's just an absolute mess. But yeah, you're absolutely right. No public service should be allowed to stop horse strike.
When I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns, and make sure the people who choose not to get vaccinated don't get to get on a plane or a train, don't get to work in the public service, don't get to, you know, by working with the provinces on vaccine certifications and mandates, don't get.
I don't get it. Everyone has a mask on but him.
To go to movie theaters or gyms or restaurants.
Qui ne croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi. C'est un petit groupe, mais qui prend de la place. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que leader, en tant que pays.
You know, I'm an alpha male. You're alpha male. We're alpha male. But nowhere in my time, I mean, yeah, I walked into a room and definitely some people that had felt like maybe they grew up with some victimization. They looked at me and thought, oh my God, that guy has the ability to bully me, just like you, bro. But like, we didn't do that. We weren't those people. But these are the people that were bullied. Now they're in a position of power and they're going after the alphas. But we're all alphas. Everyone is alpha. Pierre is not an alpha male. Absolutely no. He's definitely chicka, little guy.
So yes, even at the risk of knowing that people thought I might be waving at those anti-vaxxers who I was basically ignoring, because I won't respond to anger with anger. I'll just ignore them.
I won't respond. No, you don't ignore them. It's called verbal judo. It's called, how do you, like, listen, like, when someone's in your face, like, you listen to them. You stop, you shut down your emotions. You want them to feel your effect of, I'm listening to you. I can hear you. You listen to the words they're saying. They may say 50 words in that big blah, 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 blah. And you pick out the important ones. And then when that person has a minute or two of calmness, then you repeat to them, hey, bro, I'm sorry. I'm feeling you're upset. And if they blow up again, just stop talking. But listen to them. Face forward, listen to them. And then keep trying to repeat what you hear them say. This is verbal judo. I learned it 25, 30 years ago at the Justice Institute. Now I'm training it. I'm one of the only two Canadians that can. So you give it back to them in a way that they can hear you. And then slowly over, it may take 2 minutes, it may take 5 minutes, but you calm them down and you get them to a place where they can communicate what it is they need to say. God bless people.
If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. I don't want to replay this guy, but God bless. Yeah, he did. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train beside
a train and a DEI programs. What do you think of DEI, bro? Like, you know, I'm a believer in like the person that gets the job is the person that's best suited for the job. Tucker Carlson, that guy's everyone, there's so many people that are like just haters. It doesn't matter. Like there you go. This is a left coast. This is what when Pierre looks in the mirror, this is what he sees. Are you ready? Serious, bro. It's just hair, but everything else is not. Oh, Benny Johnson. You know who I do like? Yeah, he talks about sitting down with his kids. You know, this whole Trump thing, did you watch this? Like, they've now officially said he's done. Oh, wow. Clyde, what are you doing, Clyde? Let's go over to YouTube here and see what some of my bros are doing. The Fulcrum. This guy's quite interesting. He's just a young kid, though. But this is here. Watch this.
Opposition leaders, obviously, we've been talking a lot about them.
So this is a 6-minute segment about it's politicians react to Trudeau's resignations. Let's watch.
Because this means that their strategy has to change in the short term and then probably in the long term. What are we hearing from them?
Well, yes, their strategy has to change because, you know, calculations were based on facing Justin Trudeau, and that has obviously changed. But as you heard, both in video and through statements, this changes nothing, according to Pierre Poilievre. He said that essentially, you know, what has really changed when everyone who supported the policies in the government.
This 6-minute segment on CBC, you can see, can you believe, about what some of the other people that are important believe.
Whether we're talking about MPs or cabinet ministers, will continue on, and many of them be leadership hopefuls as well in terms of leadership. So have a little listen to part of what Pierre Poilievre had to say.
Okay, Pierre.
So given that Liberal MPs and leadership contenders...
Do you hear that voice? That is not the voice of an alpha bro.
unanimously supported everything Trudeau has done. Why dump him now, right before an election? Have they had a change of heart? Is it because they feel guilty that they doubled housing costs, hiked taxes, unleashed crime, broke immigration, forced a quarter of the population into poverty?
This is the first time he's reading from a teleprompter. He usually is always by himself, but he's reading from a teleprompter.
No. They continued supporting Trudeau when he did all of those things. No, their only objection is that he is no longer popular enough to win.
So you can tell he's reading from a teleprompter because his eyes, the light in his eyes have not moved, and he's looking directly at a small light, which is a teleprompter. I've never seen this before. Wow.
Election and keep them in power. They want to protect their pensions and paycheck by sweeping their hated leader under the rug months before an election to trick you and then do it all over again.
Now, what's interesting is the message from Jagmeet Singh, the NDP leader, not entirely different in tone, also saying this changes nothing because it's not just about the leader, and a selection of a new leader will change nothing. And clearly both still positioning themselves as if, and we probably will be, in an election soon. So this is less about thanking Justin Trudeau for his service and more about still trying to push forward with their messages as we head into an election year. And that election, as I said, could be very soon. We also heard from Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet, who was asked when there is a new Liberal leader, if that leader were to approach the opposition and say, hey, actually, could we extend things a little bit, whether it's another agreement or somehow some other way to get things still progressing. He said no, non-confidence motion or some kind of non-confidence vote is the sort of first thing on the agenda, and it's time for an election.
Come on, person.
Okay, and there's lots of reaction, obviously, Karina, from other parts of the country. What can you tell us about that?
Well, and interestingly, a lot of them from the names that we've been talking about.
Oh, here's Mark Carney. Oh, he doesn't do video, but he just
we have made for public service, which knew the.
So, this is Mark Carney. Ready? Thank you, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, for your leadership, for your many contributions to Canada, and for the sacrifices you and your family have made for public service. Wishing you all the best for your next chapters. Doesn't say anything about him being any race.
Best for your next chapters. And Chrystia Freeland as well, quite out.
She didn't do no video neither, and she just went rogue. I thank Justin Trudeau for his
Quickly, but
years of
very
service
brief.
in Canada,
I thank Justin-
Canada and Canadians. I wish him and his family. She's pissed. I watched her last week. She did a. This is actually where Prime Minister. This is where Trudeau. I don't want to call him Prime Minister anymore. Sorry. This is where Trudeau Jr. met Freeland at a 2012 TED Talks in Scotland. If you want to watch it, it's quite interesting. She speaks for about 40 minutes on money, power, and politics. And at the time, she was working for the International Telegraph in London, I believe, and she had left that. She had left her position in the Ukraine, actually, as a journalist there. So she went from the Ukraine as a journalist to London, met Justin, came to Canada, and then boom, 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 up the ladder she goes.
Trudeau for the years of service to Canada and Canadians. I wish him and his family the very best. A little less brief from potential hopeful Christy Clark, who also thanked the Prime Minister.
Jagmeet basically said the same thing. I didn't. I can find it again for you, but I just want to go through this because Christy Clark has a lot to say.
But then went on to say, as a lifelong Liberal, I look forward to joining tens of thousands of Canadians to choose our next leader. This is the biggest opportunity in over a decade that we've had to grow our party and welcome new Liberals, including Canadians concerned about the future of our country. Let's seize it.
Oh, this is the best information. You know, Christy Clark, I know her. We know each other a little bit. And yeah, on the west side. I know her family too. She's a smart woman. I do like her, but she does a lot of backroom deals, just like Trudeau did. And but this is the best thing that someone has said.
And then Francois-Philippe Champagne also thanking Justin Trudeau for his dedication and service to our country for so many years, and really going on to talk about how his leadership and the government has set Canada in good stead, saying Canada can look forward to the future with confidence. And then we also have had reaction from people who aren't interested in the Liberal leadership. Doug Ford, Premier of
Interesting, eh? These people, like CBC always does big things about, you know, they're funded by blah, 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 right? So they're always talking good. Now comes the bad.
Ontario put out a statement that actually doesn't even mention Justin Trudeau. He talks instead all about what the federal government has to do.
She has that cuteness about her, right? She's like, she reminds me of one of my really close girlfriends. She's quite bubbly. She likes her wine, I'll tell you that much. And a little bit too much touching of the Drew.
Regardless of the leader, in terms of facing Trump and the threat of tariffs, there's a tweet from Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante about how much of an ally Justin Trudeau was to cities, especially Montreal. Tweet from the Canadian, or a statement from the Canadian Chamber of Commerce saying, thank.
So I thought this was going to be, Donald Trump.
About how Canada is
Are
Canadians.
you ready? Many people in Canada love being the 51st state. This guy is such a raving lunatic. You know, he knows how to get business done. He knows how to bring people to the table. He knows how to build things. He knows how to build them irresponsibly and fast and quick without paperwork being signed off on. But I mean, God bless my American friends. Anyways, the United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits. I don't even think he realizes how much we give them. Like, we give them so much oil, so much gas. You know, it's funny. I was doing football a few years ago with the kids, and we went to Kelowna. I think this was my son was in grade 7, so this is about 7 years ago. This is when the floods were happening in the Lake Okanagan. And me and about 5 families had rented some houses, some Airbnbs down on waterfront or lakefront in Kelowna for the tournament there. And the houses were all flooded. And the lady that I was renting the houses from, I can't recall her name right now, but she was a city councilor, and she was a friend of Blaise from Blaise Levy, you know, Blaise, buddy, Rick. Anyways, she was so pissed because the state of Colorado actually controls the level of the Lake Okanagan by the dams that are in the U.S. They can open the dams up, and it actually lowers the water reserves, which control the height of Lake Okanagan. So, man, we're in trouble. The Canadians are just in trouble any way you have it.
Love the idea of being the 51st state, talking about trade deficits and subsidies. That's the only reason Canada stays afloat is because of those things, and attributing Justin Trudeau's resignation to those truths in his mind, and talking about the benefits that he sees if we were to join forces with the United States and become one country. As you can,
he is such a moron. We're not joining the United States. I mean, we are so opposite of the U.S. It's not funny. Back in the mid '90s, you give a coin, a nickel, to an American. It's a nickel. It's got a picture of a beaver on one side and the queen on the other. And you'd say, "Hey, how do you make the queen?" Ha ha ha. You flip her over and rub her. And Americans would laugh because that's when they hated the UK. They just hated them because everything that happened in the world started in the UK. And then it would, the fashion, the music, and everything would go from them to the US and from the US to us. Trudeau just doesn't know. He's just he's not a warmonger. He doesn't want war, but God bless him.
see there talking about how there would be no tariffs, no taxes would go down, and Canada would be totally secure from the threat of Russian and Chinese ships. And what a great nation we would be together if.
No one is totally secure from the threat. Do you remember back in the 80s when we would do bomb drills and we'd jump underneath our tables as a result of the movie Red Dawn? That's when Red Dawn happened. Everyone was worried about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Man, it was a crazy time back then. Threat. It was still threat. I mean, we had drones flying over our house in the west side of Vancouver.
We became the 51st state. So, as you said, reaction
Anyways,
from all.
Rick, you went to Jag Meat, so let's see if Jag has something to say. Whoops. Yeah, so here, I'll pull this up for you, boss man. This is what he had to say. Oh, this is 20 minutes.
Justin Trudeau's Liberals have let down Canadians. They have let you down when it comes to the cost of homes. He's let you down when it comes to the cost of living. And frankly, it's not just Justin Trudeau. It's every Liberal minister, every Liberal MP who looked down their nose at you when people were saying we can't make ends meet. We are struggling with the cost of living. So it doesn't matter who the next Liberal leader is. They've let you down. They do not deserve another chance. They're more interested in themselves than the struggles of Canadians. We've got serious threats of Donald Trump and tariffs that put in question hundreds and thousands of Canadian jobs. And instead of focusing on you and protecting your jobs, they're worried about themselves. And we have another serious threat to the middle class in Canada, and that is Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives want to cut from the middle class to give to their rich CEO friends. They want to cut your pensions. They want to cut health care. They want to cut dental care, all to make the rich CEO buddies even richer. Under Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, they want to see CEOs get richer and richer and the middle class fall further behind. That's a serious fight in front of us.
Bro, he's alpha because he's Indian. They're all alpha. All of them across the board are angry alpha people. Every Indian I know, they're either like totally like, but they're all so, man, you go to the bar and you fight 1 and 20 fight you. It's like, there's no one, yeah, it's, it's a different culture, bro. They're a different culture and they act differently. But yes, he is definitely alpha. But he didn't throw a punch at that guy at the parking lot, which I was quite upset about. He should have just knocked him out, and then we could have really said he was alpha with a throw.
I know what that fight's all about. I remember meeting seniors in our country who told me that they are living in pain because they can't fix their teeth. They can't get their teeth looked after.
Okay, so here's this teeth thing. Let's talk about this for a minute. I'll get into it. So I've gone through a huge transition over the past couple of years. I've left some pretty huge contracts, and I didn't own a house at the time, so I had to go through. Women are a different cultures. Yes, 100%. It's all a different culture. But anyways, getting back to this whole teeth thing. I have one son. I'm a single dad. He's my biological son. I've also adopted my last foster child that I had 976 foster children through my home in 21 years. And I retired a year after COVID happened, and because it just got too strange and too messed up. So I actually phoned the government to see about this dental thing, because as a private contractor, I've never had health care. I've had health care, I just haven't had extended dental. So I went to find out about this dental work, and the reality is the dental thing he's talking about is only for seniors or kids 12 and under. Okay, so in order to be eligible, you have to be 60 years or older, or 65 and older, or 12 and under. Now, you have to pay for, you get $500, eligible up to $500 a year each person in Canada, no more than $500. But here's the kicker, folks. You got to pay the $500 out of your own pocket. Okay? Then the next year when you do your taxes, you'll get that $500 rebate back. Now, I don't know why they keep saying this, and I don't understand why they keep doing this, but it's just wrong. They keep saying the same stupid talking point, and it pisses me off.
And to hear heartbreaking stories from these seniors. I remember one in particular who told me she's got to choose between eating and sleeping, because if she eats at night, she's in so much pain she can't fall asleep.
Well, you're not supposed to eat past 8 o'clock. That's what I would have. That's the alpha in me. I would have said to the elderly person, well, do you want to help with the nutritionist, because you really shouldn't eat sugary foods or foods that are going to make your plaque on your teeth fall apart in the middle of the night, and you shouldn't grind. Maybe buy a $10 or a $20 mouth guard. See, because you can see my tooth fell out.
And if she wants to sleep that night, she has to skip a meal, not eat dinner, go to bed hungry. I promise those.
You're right. I don't not dislike him. Understand? I don't dislike anyone. I just, as I don't dislike you. I don't dislike anyone. But as now a rostered mediator, I definitely value people's interests. Sometimes their interests don't align with mine. Therefore, I have to sort of set them aside. They're not going to be my best bros, they're not my best friends, they're not maybe be in my circle, but I will respect them as long as they're respectful to their interests. If they're not, bounce. Sorry.
Seniors that I would fight like hell to make sure they could actually get their teeth looked after. And the Liberals said no at every turn. We proposed solutions. We proposed ideas to get this done. They said no. Even when we convinced them to move forward with dental care, they said it would take a decade to put in place. We said, no, seniors need this now. We fought hard and we delivered it. So if Canadians...
And it wasn't him that delivered. It was Trudeau that wanted the dental care, and then Jagmeet made it, with his vote, it became his platform now, because he was the one that agreed to it. Therefore, Trudeau got enough votes. Therefore, the dental thing went through, but it was written incorrectly. That's why he's saying they tried to change it, because it was broken. It's a broken tooth system. It's just broken. If you want to fix a 60-year-old person that's been born and raised in Canada and their teeth are falling apart and they're actually really old and they maybe legitimately worked and, they were Canadian, they weren't gangster, fix their teeth. Just fix them. If they're falling apart, get them the support or the help they need. I have a handicapped sister. Her teeth just falling apart because she's not brushing properly. I had to sit with her for 2 months straight to brush them with her. I sat down with her. She'd brush her teeth. I'd brush mine. I'd teach her how to do it. We'd make fun laughters. She was 35 years old. I was 36. I'm teaching my sister at 35 how to teach her how to brush her teeth properly. And the foods we're eating. That's what's causing all the problems.
Give us a chance. Give us the honor of leading this country. We're going to do exactly that. fight for you. Fight greedy CEOs who are ripping you off when you buy your groceries.
Greedy CEOs, this guy can't talk like this because he wears Rolex and drives Maseratis. And that's just like, someone finally called him out on it. But if I could drive Maseratis and wear Rolex, but I wear my Rolex, but I don't wear it out and flash it out when I shouldn't. I wear it when it's an appropriate time.
Fight to make sure you can actually afford a home. So if you are worried about the cuts of Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, if you find it unacceptable.
He keeps talking too about the cuts of Pierre Poilievre. Pierre Poilievre hasn't been able to get into government to cut anything yet. What he's talking about is Stephen Harper and how the Conservatives were so junk back in the day. That's what he's talking about. He's worried that Pierre and the Conservatives are going to do this again.
It's simply wrong.
And the NDP are the ones that gave all the money to the group homes. That's where me and all the people like Lee Loftus, all those guys, they all started that because of me. And now they're making bank because of the NDP.
That the rich keep on getting richer and the middle class is falling further behind. Stand with us. We are building a movement of working class people. We are fighting to win for you. Justin Trudeau et les libéraux de...
Yeah, and just to follow up, we know that the first confidence motion before Parliament is going to be the throne speech. Will the NDP vote to bring down the government at the throne speech?
Here it is. Listen, so this is what this guy just said he was going to do in December. Bring down the Liberal government. He said it's gone finally. Let's see what he says here.
Yes, whatever the vote is, there will be a vote of confidence. New Democrats will be voting against this government for an election where Canadians will have a choice. The Liberals have let you down. They've let you down
Someone's talking
again and again. It doesn't matter who the leader is. The Liberals have let you down. They do not deserve another chance. And the Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre want to cut the things that you need. They want to cut pensions for seniors who are already struggling. They want to cut healthcare at a time when people can't get the care they need. They want to cut dental care for seniors and kids who are just receiving this care. They want to cut that. It's a callous decision. And New Democrats want to fight those greedy CEOs that are ripping you off. We want to lower your grocery bills and make sure you can actually find a home that you can afford. New Democrats are building a movement. If you're worried about those cuts, if you're worried about Pierre Poilievre, if you feel let down by the Liberals, stand with us. Stand with us this time. We are building a movement to fight back. We are fighting to win for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Nous allons maintenant, Julien, avec...
Pierre's his only competition. And this is the saddest thing about what's happened because of the pandemic is, we are now losing our 5 parties, and where we could keep things even and we can collaborate. And it was hard to get things done. It's going to be a lot easier as it's been for Trudeau to do whatever he wanted to the last couple of years. And now when Pierre gets in, it's going to be easy for him to do whatever he wants to do. Ultimately, when that happens, we're just going to have to keep him in check.
Du Canada, c'est à vous.
Hello.
Hi, Andrew. This is Shelby from West Point Grade Physio.
Hey.
You had an appointment at 12. Are you going to make it?
Oh, I wrote it down at Tuesday and Thursday. I'm so sorry. I can take a cab up. I'll be up there in 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Sure.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
All right, guys. I'm sorry, but I just got a phone call and I've got to get to actual work. I've got some work that I've got to take care of. Thanks for coming. Bro, I got dineros. I worked hard in my life, and as a result, I'm just so you know what I've done is I've created this channel, and I'm actually YouTubing now, and I'm doing that probably about I'm going to say 30% of my working hours, which is about 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, about 3 to 5 hours a day. I'm specifically doing YouTube stuff. And the other third, I'm doing my mediation stuff. So I'm now a rostered mediator, and I do a lot of drug and alcohol interventions. And the other third, I spend time with my dog. and my kids. I take care of my community. I do the football stuff. Anyways, God bless. I'm going to be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And if you've got my DM there, Big Dog, please DM me because I got to get some work done and we're looking for someone to do some work, pay money. God bless. Anyways, God bless. I'm going to be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And if you've got my DM there, Big Dog, please DM me because I got to get some work done and we're looking for someone to do some work, pay money. God bless.